Welcome to the Mindset Advantage podcast with Dr. Trisha Gardner and Elliot Rowe. So Trisha, tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am the author of Positive Poker, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dr. Trisha Gardner. And as it happens, I have a chapter in the new book coming out, Excelling at No Limit Hold'em, as I know you do too, Elliot.
Yeah, I'm in that book as well, and I'm Elliot Rowe. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I work with poker players and UFC fighters, and a bit of a different guest or guests today. We've been lucky enough to get the current UFC champion, TJ Dillashaw, and his coach, who's actually now two-time World Coach of the Year, Duane Ludwig, to come on and talk about the importance of mindset and fighting today. So a bit of an exciting interview there. And then, so what psychology news do you have for us this week, Trisha?
Well, a great new study just came out. And let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why only certain poker players react more emotionally to things that happen at the poker table?
Yeah, certainly.
Some do, some don't, right? Well, it's very interesting because they have just figured out, and this came out in the Journal of Neuroscience, that there's actually a certain gene that relates to emotional processing. And so people who have this certain genetic variation experience positive and negative emotions more strongly than people who don't have the gene. So what I think is super interesting about this is this kind of explains why some people are more susceptible to things like tilt or even PTSD.
Okay, and so is this the perfect excuse for someone to say that it's in my DNA, tilt's in my DNA?
Well, not exactly. And let me just for the record tell you that the gene is actually called the ADRA2B. And what it does is it regulates the neurotransmitter norepinephrine. So you might say, well, the tilt is in my genes, but we know that you can do a lot to affect this norepinephrine, diet, exercise, therapy, hypnotherapy, meditation, all those sorts of things can actually interact and maybe counter this genetic predisposition.
So I guess it's a bit like people who may be slightly more genetically predisposed to gaining weight. You can still exercise and lose the weight to some extent.
Exactly. So you may have a genetic tendency towards tilt, but it doesn't mean that you are destined to be a tilter.
You just might have to work a little bit harder than those guys who aren't.
Exactly.
Perfect. So let's give Duane and TJ a call and see what they have to say about mindset. So Duane and TJ, thanks for coming on the show. And for some of the listeners who may not know you guys, could you introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is TJ Dillashaw, and I am the current UFC 135-pound champion. I've been an MMA fighter for the last 5 years, and yeah, it's me.
And I'm Duane Ludwig, head coach for TJ, creator of Bang Muay Thai, martial art instructor mainly.
Martial artist his whole life.
And obviously, we're coming on the show today to talk about the mental game side of the sport and the importance of mindset. And if you guys could just sort of take in turns, just letting us know how important do you feel mindset is for fighting?
For me, it's one of the most. Even growing up as a kid, you learn it in wrestling, just competing in general. Throughout my entire life, I've had to learn this along the way. I wish I would have just known it from the beginning. But, having confidence and doing things and believing in them the right way and visualizing things and success, it's, one of the most important things that's got me to where I'm at now.
And then Duane, from your side?
The mental game is, I'm not quite sure what percentage it is, but it's a very high percentage, way more than the actual technique and speed and ability for the most part on the physical side, just because, you watch some of the guys fight now, and some of their technique is not there, but they believe it's there. And that's just so much more powerful than someone who's very technical, but that doesn't believe in himself. So 100% the mindset has to be there, and that separates amateurs from pros, champions to the runners-up.
So can I ask you a little bit about what type of mental game preparation did you actually do when you were preparing for your fight against Barreau?
Nothing really, just, things I've done naturally my whole life. I feel that everyone has those demons in their head telling them that they're not going to win a fight, or they should be nervous going into this fight, or doubting their skills. And it's all about just, talking over those and not letting those negative thoughts in your head, and just reaffirming positive things every time you have one of those thoughts. And, just knowing that I've trained as hard as I possibly can to get me where I'm at. I have the belief in my coach, the belief in my team, to give me a world championship, and I'm doing the right things and I'm holding myself accountable, which also makes me confident, so it goes hand in hand. You gotta work hard to believe, and you gotta believe to work hard.
Well, like that.
And I mean, a lot of, obviously we've seen the highlights and things in the interviews. You spoke quite a lot about that power of belief before the fight. Do you think that was something integral to that mindset for taking the belt?
I mean, absolutely. I went into that fight completely confident, I mean, even all the reporters were asking me why I was feeling so confident being such a big underdog. I just knew it was time, I don't know, I just felt it and I believed it, and, I got to continue to do so for the rest of my career. I mean, everyone's going to have those negative days, but you just got to, talk yourself out of them and ultimately just believe in yourself from the day of competition.
Perfect. And Duane, do you think there's a difference between kickboxing? Because obviously you've been a world champion kickboxer as well as a UFC fighter. Do you think there's a difference between the kickboxing mindset and the MMA mindset, or is it pretty much the same?
I would say it's the same, because the guys that be most successful is the guy who believes in the most, no matter what their field is, whether it's kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, or MMA, or anything in general. It's a champion mindset. That's just something that a lot of people, well, I should say not a lot of people, but few people have, but then also some people have it, don't know they have it. They have to be coached in the right direction as well. Because you can, just like anything, also train to believe, focusing on the good things and what needs to happen in order to be the most successful.
And do you think that mindset's helped you in the business world as well, now that you're switching from sort of in the cage to now supporting fighters and running a business outside of it?
Yeah, 100%, focusing on, figuring out what goals you want, focusing on them, and then making sure you're taking steps to actually complete that goal, and focusing on ways to make it happen rather than ways for it not to happen.
He's definitely confident in being successful in business. I mean, I asked him before he even started the gym, and he just knew that he was going to have a successful business. He knew it. I mean, no matter what you talked about, what situation, he just knew that he was going to be successful. And then, you believe it, you see it, it happens.
Yeah, as long as you put in the hard work, I think, and you guys have obviously put in a ton of hard work.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the work wasn't there, then there's no reason to believe it.
Exactly. So what are the psychological difference when you come in as an underdog versus when you come in as a favorite, or are there any differences?
There's definitely differences, and you got to make sure to put them on the same mindset. You're going in as an underdog, you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. You don't really have much pressure on you, but you're still just as nervous to step into the octagon. I need to have that same feeling as a champion now of being the favorite, and don't put the pressure on myself to win, and just put the pressure on myself to perform in the cage and do the things to see myself winning, and just put a positive spin on everything.
One thing I always find quite interesting, you had a difficult fight, the fight in Brazil, which, I mean, I felt you won, and I think everyone else probably did as well. How do you deal with losing a fight to the judges where it was a very questionable decision? How did you come back from that?
Just did it. I mean, it was hard, absolutely. I remember after my fight being real bummed out and not wanting to come into the gym. I think that was the longest I was out of the gym after I left that fight. Didn't want to watch fighting on TV, just kind of a little bitter, and just took me a little bit of time to get back in the gym and forget about it, and then instantly set a new goal. I just knew that I had a couple more fights in me to get the title, and now that little hiccup, and just get back on the horse and start riding.
Now, you and Duane, y'all kind of share, just for listeners who don't know, something interesting. TJ, you had considered by many the best fight of all time versus Barreau, and Duane is known for having the fastest knockout in UFC history. So how did you two, just excellent fighters, come together as coach and trainee?
Yeah, I'm meant to be helping TJ right now, and he was a born champion. So I feel blessed to be one of the chosen ones to actually work with TJ, and I think we are the mix to actually make him the most successful. And then same thing for me as a coach. I can't operate on this level of coaching without TJ pushing me. So it's a win-win situation, and the situation that we're winning is the gold belt, and that's our main goal. So it's cool to be a part of something so spectacular and then work with such a gifted, committed athlete such as TJ. Yeah,
I mean, it's sort of a once-in-a-lifetime thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you see some coach-fighter relationships through the years and such. We just have a special one. It's rare. I've been in the martial arts for a long time, and I pay attention to a lot of things. And what we have is rare. It's definitely something meant to be.
I knew it instantly. First time we saw practice, came in and started teaching the way I wanted it to be exactly taught for the most part. I mean, I tried to drill the way he had us doing combos before he even got there to a little extent, and him just, doing the practice exactly how I wanted it, showing awesome technique. I just caught on instantly. It was just a perfect match made in heaven.
Excellent. And then in terms of pre-fight, the sort of the trash talking that goes on before fights, do you guys think that's an important thing? Is that something that could really impact fighters, do you think? Or is that just to sell pay-per-views? Or do you think there's an edge that can be had there?
I think it's a little bit of both. Some guys just get nervous and this is what they do, or some guys are consciously making an effort to, build their name and sell tickets, like Conor McGregor compared to, someone that's just scared to fight. I think Brow started to talk a lot more crap for this fight coming up because I think he's scared to fight me. He's I don't know, making excuses right now.
I think Brow feeling a bit of pressure, so he's using some words that he typically wouldn't use. But no, we already know how the fight's going to unfold.
And obviously last time, him collapsing during the weight cut and the sort of the pressure that put on you to have to take a fight in 24 hours. How did that feel for you, TJ, to have that big change and have someone you've been training for all of that time just collapse on pretty much 24 hours before the fight?
Yeah, that was probably the nervous I've ever been for a competition almost, I mean, it's not one of the most nervous I've ever been. It was kind of crazy, I've been training 6 months for one guy, having it in my head, going through all the positive thinking for a fight and visualizing and doing all these things you do to prepare for a fight, the things we've already been talking about. And then for it to switch on me in 24 hours notice, especially the situation it switched to as well. Not only did it switch, but it switched to an opponent that no one knew that was actually tough. He's a Bellator champion. He's been champion in other leagues. And I've practiced with him, and none of he's a tough kid, and no one knows who he is, So there we go. I'm putting the pressure on being the favorite. I was an all-time favorite, so that's why I was feeling the pressure like we were talking about earlier. And it was hard for me to overcome, and I actually had to get help from you, Elliot, to, kind of push through it. And I've never had to have someone talk me up like that and, talk me through believing in myself and kind of hypnotizing me,
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an incredibly difficult situation, isn't it? As you say, if you've been visualizing that win against Barao for 6 months, to have that taken away that in such bizarre circumstance as well, him passing out in the bathtub before the weigh-in, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I'm on weight, really cranky, 135 pounds, not wanting to hear bad news, just wanting to weigh in and eat. And I got to deal with this crap. And that messes with my nerves after weigh-ins and not able to eat. It was a pain in the ass. Excuse my language.
Elliot, you're a huge help for that fight, so I really appreciate you for that.
Hey, no worries. Obviously, it was a lot of fun helping you guys out and watching the knockout.
Yeah, it's all.
Can you talk, just for our listeners who are really interested, what does your day-to-day training, both physical and mental, look like?
I don't really designate a time for mental preparation. I feel like it's the entire day.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the mental part of training lasts all day, every day when you're training. And by putting in the hard work and doing the reps right and drilling it the right way, you're mentally preparing to build confidence at the same time. If you're doing it the right way and training as hard as you can every practice, so that's why guys get away with having self-belief and not even knowing it. I mean, I've kind of done it just through competition all my life now. You just kind of, trick yourself into believing, I guess, and it works.
And in terms of the physical, what do your physical workouts look like? I mean, I know you don't have to give away anything you don't want to, but just generally speaking, how many hours a day and what are you doing?
Just depends on camp. When I'm in heavy camp, it's probably anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a day, 2 or 3 workouts a day. And it goes from anywhere from mixed martial arts practice, so where it's wrestling, striking, and jiu-jitsu all in one practice, like a pro practice. Mm-hmm. And then I go to, in that day I'll do strength and conditioning and mitts with Coach Duane. So it'll be 2-hour workouts every time. Sometimes an hour working mitts, so it's 5 hours a day. And on days I don't hit mitts, maybe I'll do jiu-jitsu in the evening or an individualized wrestling class.
And I mean, Duane, do you have to help people with this? The worry that some athletes just overtrain sometimes. Like, obviously, you guys have worked out the perfect one for the fight, but do you ever have to say, look, today you're taking the day off, today you have to call it because of fighters getting overexcited about training for a fight?
Yes, sir. Sometimes I'll notice if the guys are little bit drawn out. They would try to work more on technique and such, or just take the day off. But there's always something that you can do. But the guys have been training for since they were children, so they are very aware of their body and they know exactly when to push and when to pull back. But of course, I'll give my guidance when I feel it's due.
I mean, there's definitely people that don't know how to do it. We have to coach through. I mean, Duane's definitely. I mean, I've competed my whole life and learned to an extent, but I've had him tell me, like you just said, you need to sit this practice out, only do one today. He can notice when you're not pushing as hard. When you're hitting mitts every day or every other day, he can realize when you're going harder when you're not, just to burn out.
I love this because, I play a lot of poker and I deal a lot with poker players. And I just love what you're talking about. If you put in the work, you're going to have the confidence. But then I know like poker, especially tournaments, they take a lot of stamina. And I just can't imagine most of the poker players I know putting in the physical work that you're describing here.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work.
Yeah.
And Duane, when you have a new fighter come into the gym, how quickly can you tell if this guy is going to make it or realistically he'll be in the amateurs? Is there something you can tell within a few weeks and months, or is it something that will take years and years?
Somewhat soon I could pick up on, just what I feel, how successful they're going to be, just from the way they're walking, the words they're using, the questions they're asking, how they're training, just their focus in general. I feel I've been a pretty good judge of character and just reading body language and such. Just from competing and training in general, that transfers over to carrying just day to day and monitoring athletes. And so short answer, yes, I can tell by the way they walk and talk.
Oh, so it's really obvious.
Within a couple of days. Sometimes when I first meet them, just depending on the words,
Is it just like some sort of it factor? Just like you could just spot it immediately.
Yes and no. It depends on who it is. Yeah, but sometimes it's glaring more in others.
I think it's how much someone else should pay attention, You can tell someone to do something right, but they all should change it and do it right, and you're not going to make it. I notice the biggest difference when he's coaching someone, it's when they change it, and then they start listening right away.
And that's what, a good martial arts athlete does, is they will be able to put in the focus and energy to actually get better, perform techniques correctly, whatever correctly it is.
Yeah, and something I sort of put some questions out there for people to ask, and someone was asking how much of the fight you guys remember afterwards. Is it just sort of you remember the theme of it, or do you remember the entire fight? What do you find, TJ?
Well, now that I've watched it enough, I know the entire fight in general, my fights, my own fights. But, right after, you don't remember all of it. You remember highlights and just, you try to just shut your brain off and just react. So it's harder to remember when you don't. You're not like focusing on one thing. You just kind of react and let it take its course. That's when you do your best. You're just kind of like that zen that Bruce Lee's always talked about, and just martial artists in general, they can get to that mindset where you just let it go. You don't think about what you're going to do and just react and do it. It's taken a long time for me to get that way in striking, but now it is. It just when I spar or when I'm in that zone, things just happen.
Awesome. And Duane, how did you find it in your career?
Well, just watching TJ, though, from the training, from the shadowboxing to the mitts, to the sparring drills, to the sparring, to the fight, to watch information just take place as if he was still just training in the gym, but yet he's pulling off these techniques and combinations in a world title fight. That's something super rare, and it's amazing to watch it. I'm definitely lucky just to be able to be a part of it. It's fun to see that happen, to see that actual, what the Japanese call mushin, you can have no mind and just flow, get in the zone. Those are fun moments to watch. For sure.
If I could be in that mode all the time, I'd pay a lot of money.
Is it sort of a process of letting the fight come to you, if you know what I mean?
I guess you want to kind of shut off the conscious and operate more on the subconscious, kind of just go with the flow. Yes and no, because I'm not quite sure how much it's predetermined, right? So you can make happen what you want to have happen also. So
yeah, you can change things in the middle of a fight. It doesn't have to be. You definitely go for it, but you go for it the way you drilled it. I mean, you go for it the way you've done it in the gym. So I guess you do let the fight come to you, but you got to go to the fight.
Literally predict the future.
Yeah. You give them a free seminar.
Yeah.
And I mean, watching those fights, it really was like the last two, the last three fights probably. You can see those combinations that we see on the training videos just coming out, just being expressed automatically in the fight. It's, the combinations just flow, don't they?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Quality reps. Put in the quality reps, the time and effort, paying attention, and it'll come out when the time's right.
And it looked to me like from things that I watched on YouTube and interviews that I heard that you've kind of, Duane, systematized your training to some extent. It's almost like there's a Duane Bang system. How did you come up with that?
There is a Duane Bang.
100%. We have a striking system. I originally got the idea from Sensei Boss Rutan. He created an idea of how to train, and I took that idea and just added more layers to it. It kind of just exactly added more layers to it, and then it helps a lot too when you have such a gifted martial artist like TJ to bounce ideas off of and get feedback from the next evolution of martial arts. It's kind of fun. It's a super exciting time in my life to create this system of today's modern martial arts. There's nothing like we are actually on the edge of creating new stuff each and every day, and it's just awesome to be a part of that.
And do you think it's different teaching actually on that more of a syllabus process rather than just turning up and saying, "Oh, today we're going to do this combination"?
Yeah, definitely have having the game plan and the practices laid out to make sure you're on track with things and doing what's right and what's proper. Because there's so many X factors, so many things that you can do. It helps me to go ahead and categorize everything and just put them into little compartmentalize and make sure we're working on certain things at certain times and giving them the correct attention.
It's so nice, though, for you to be able to have the system because, for one, that hasn't historically been the case. And so you're kind of going down in history as somebody who's come up with this, systematized way of teaching.
Part of it, for sure. And it's just like a typical business plan. You have an overall objective and goal, and you got to put those pieces together and line them up properly to actually make sure that goal comes into play. And it's the same thing exactly when you're training and fighting. You have an objective and a goal to win the fight, and how you're going to win it is by performing certain drills and combinations with certain people and put in the quality reps, and it'll play out in the fight.
Pretty simple.
Yep. Right? it's that easy. And Duane, do you actually do you miss the fighting itself, or do you prefer it to the training? No.
Not at all. I didn't miss fighting the last freaking 8-9 years I was doing it. No, the last couple fights, I just was kind of go through the motions. I definitely don't miss it at all. I'm meant to be a martial art instructor right now, and this is the happiest I've ever been to be able to work with martial arts like TJ, and it's a blessing to be on the cutting edge of martial arts evolution. And this is my true calling, to teach martial arts. I had to go through the period of training and competing to get certain experience on certain things, but my true calling is to teach martial arts.
Yeah, you really come across as, you could tell the passion is there, but also just the way you're able to put things together. There is a certain, genius to that wouldn't be there if you hadn't gone through the, fighting stage yourself. But it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. The main thing I'm learning is when to talk and when to listen. That's the main thing.
Mainly talk, a little bit of listen.
So all I'm saying is, what's that?
And when does the sort of the pressure in the training come on for the fight? So your next fight's July 25th. Are you ready in the full middle of the camp, or is it going to be a bit closer to the fight where full camp really starts?
Maybe a little bit closer, I guess. I mean, you can't always think about it, So I mean, whenever you think about it, I guess just a little bit of nerves every now and then, but not serious ones. You get more so when you get closer, when the time comes.
I heard you talk on one of your interviews about controlled aggression. So I guess you were saying, that was something you had to work on. Where are you at with that?
Always working. I mean, I'm an aggressive competitor. I'm not just an aggressive person so much. I kind of, yeah. Because I'm just always competing now. But it's just I learned a way to control it. I used to just lose my temper and compete so hard in practice that, it's not always the nicest way to do things. And so I've had to control it in the practice room so that I can control it in a fight. I don't want to fight with aggression because it's going to make you tired and you're going to get caught because you're not as technical. So I've had to learn to put that aggression into technique and slow things down a little bit and visualize.
And in terms of with the visualization, what does it feel like to walk out to the cage somewhere like the MGM? There's having 20,000 people there cheering. What does it feel like as your music starts and you take those first steps?
It's fun. That's the fun part, I guess. As long as you've trained hard and you're confident, I mean, it's fun. I'm sure for someone that doesn't have the belief in themselves going out there, it's not going to be fun. It's going to be dreadful. But if you go out there with belief in your mind, it's going to be a pretty fun walk, and you're going to remember a lot more of it. So.
And then on the other side of it, that moment after you've got the knockout and they've given you that belt for the first time, how did that feel for you guys?
That goes by fast. That was just all glitter, man. It was super excitement, so it went pretty quick, And then I think when you should really start remembering things is when I got right backstage and we're talking with family, coach, and teammates, then it starts to hit you a little bit more.
Do you actually take the time to, savor your wins?
You don't think about it, no. Just not really. You just do it. I mean, you don't really think about savoring it.
There's no.
You always have to have that steady progression. So it's good to look back and enjoy the moments, the special moments in life. But in this field, you have to stay on the improvement side. You can't sit in a rut. So you always got to make sure what's next. How am I improving? What do I need to do to get better?
Right.
And do you find is that sort of what you guys are looking at after a fight, rather than watching the fight saying, "Wow, I look great"? Are you sitting there straight away afterwards? You did that. The first couple of watches.
I mean, you gotta know what you did right to fix what you did wrong as well. You gotta enjoy it as well as pick yourself apart. I still enjoy my victory today, but I still pick myself apart every single day when we're training. Every day I'm training, I feel like there's something I can do a little bit better.
There's always another level.
Always reaching, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So how important would be things like diet and exercise? Well, not exercise so much, but diet and sleeping and, all that kind of stuff. How much of a role does that play?
It's super important. You're not rebuilding your body if you're not sleeping.
Right.
I wish I would have known more about my diet when I was wrestling in college. I would have done a lot better in college, I think. I didn't have the greatest diet as I do now. But now that I've turned, obviously, fighting into a profession, you put everything you can into it. So I've learned about diet, and it's made life a whole lot easier, and you feel a lot better when you make weight, and you feel a lot better when you compete if you have a clean diet.
And was there a shift in your mind when it became a full-time job and you decided, I am now a professional fighter? Was that a big shift in how you felt about getting into the cage, or was it pretty much the same?
I definitely got into the sport with the mindset. You got to believe that I was going to be a professional fighter. I didn't get into it to think. Obviously, I gave myself a time frame. If I didn't make it, I'd go back to grad school. But it was when I went in there, it was the belief that I was going to be a professional fighter, and this is what I was going to do. I was going to make a living doing it, and that's why I trained so hard when I did it.
TJ is meant to be where he's at.
In terms of the belief and the amount of effort, or just meant to be?
The belief, the amount of effort, the championship status. Everything's meant to be right now.
So it's like you guys are just in the zone and y'all are just going to keep on trucking towards more wins and more belts and hopefully more money.
Yeah. Those things come in the background. The only thing we focus on is this improvement and staying honest and making sure that we're improving, getting better. That's all that matters. It's the constant daily improvements.
It makes it easier to think about it instead of thinking about getting a win. It's easier just to think about being better every day. It puts a lot less pressure on yourself if you're just thinking about getting better every day until that opportunity presents itself. Instead of thinking, I need more belts, I need to make more money. It's more, how can I get better today?
And I think that actually stands for, not just for fighters, but everyone in every sport and even every job. It's much better thinking about your daily targets, which you can actually hit, and just improvement than it is about, focusing on this is what I'm going to get in a year's time, but not really having a pathway to get there. Process rather than reward.
That's definitely set like high goals. But you also have to set, like you're saying, small goals along the way, like the day-by-day goals or the week-by-week or month-by-month goals to get to where you want to be.
It's good to have, the short, middle, and long-term goals. And then whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years as well, but making sure you actually have an overall chief aim in life, and then every little goal before that, just you're just little steps to get to the main goal. But the main goal doesn't happen unless you actually take very small steps to this constant improvement every day.
Perfect.
Yeah. That isn't to know the main goal, which is world domination.
I was just going to ask, how far can you go? And I guess we have our answer there, folks.
And Duane, where can people find out about learning from you?
My training is all top secret, so there's no more sharing.
Unless you buy the affiliate, and then you get to see all the combos we do, and you become a better martial artist.
Good call.
Yeah. The Bang Muay Thai,
Yeah, BangMuayThai.com. Bang Muay Thai affiliate system. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a way that teaches you how to be a ninja, and is to buy into the system and to do the techniques we're talking about. The things that I drill every single day are on those videos, and it's going to be a way to make you better as a martial artist. And if you're not doing it, you're crazy.
Daily improvements.
So let me get this straight. I can go to your website and I can buy some videos where I will learn the secrets. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct.
Wow. Done and done.
Yeah. Instant ninja status. Guaranteed to improve your Thai boxing by 25%.
I wouldn't say instant, but you got to build your way up to the belt system.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, there's a belt system. You know how good you're getting throughout it.
Right.
You know the levels you're getting to. You're going to get promoted. You know, if you're doing the right things, you can come in and get tested.
And how many affiliates have you got now, Duane, around the country? How many gyms are there?
I think about 43 total throughout the world.
Perfect. Okay, so 43 clubs out there, depending on where you are. There'll be a bang with plenty more to come, hopefully.
Yeah, plenty more to come. You know, it's just sharing the affiliate system, sharing the ninja information, making sure we're all growing together as martial artists.
Awesome.
All right, I like this.
Hi, Oscar.
And TJ, your fight's on July the 25th. Is that a pay-per-view? Is it on Fox?
It's a Fox card. It'll be a free card. Everyone's going to be able to watch it, so it's exciting. It's a good card. Yeah, it's July 25th on Fox in Chicago.
Excellent. So yeah, basically everyone can get that just on their TVs.
Absolutely, everyone can see it.
Perfect. And let's hope he makes weight this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us. Really, really appreciate it. Good luck with the fight, TJ, and Duane. Just keep crushing the martial arts world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Trish. Thank you, bro.
Thanks.
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Sure.
Bye.
Later. Bye.
That was great of the guys to come on the show. And it's one of the things I say to a lot of my poker clients, that how similar the mindset needed between someone who's competing in the UFC and a professional poker player needs to be, certainly in terms of the level of professionalism and things like that. And what do you think there, Tricia?
Gosh, I felt like it really fit with everything that I know about, playing at the table and being a poker player. It's like you really have to set those long-term goals, but then you have to have the day-to-day goals, that are working you towards it. And it's all about continuous improvement, which then leads to confidence and belief in yourself. And, what they were saying about letting the game come to you, but also looking for those opportunities. It's just things that I see every single time I play.
Yeah, and I think that concept of this isn't about the win, this is about the process every day, the importance of process, and that's all we want poker players to be doing as we're helping them towards the World Series or any other event. It's not necessarily about the bracelet, it's about improving the process every day until it improves your chances of getting that bracelet, and that's where the success comes from.
And you know what else I thought was super interesting is how Duane Ludwig has systematized the way he teaches the martial arts. And, fighting is such a complex and fast moving endeavor, which is much like poker, right? Complex, fast moving, but we haven't really systematized it like what he's done, I don't think.
I mean, I think there's certainly some people are probably trying to do it out there, and it's something where if you can put together a logical way of building your study process, it certainly makes a lot of sense to be building on set things each week rather than just dipping into a random video and hoping that's going to be the one that changes your game.
Right. And I think that's what players tend to do, is just a random video here, a random article there, and you don't have a systematized way to put it together. But I think you're right. I think that is coming.
Excellent. So Tricia, where can people find out about you and your products?
You can follow me on Twitter at Dr. Tricia Cardner. And of course, I'm the author of Positive Poker, which is out on Amazon. And the Excelling at No Limit Hold'em comes out June 13th, I believe. And that'll also be on Amazon and for sale at the Rio.
And my name's Elliot Rowe. I'm on PokerMindCoach.com, and you can get my MP3s or look at my coaching there. And we also actually have some seminars that are going to be released on video soon that me and Tricia did with Jonathan Little last year at the World Series. So check out our websites and have a look at those. Okay, we look forward to talking to you guys next week.
Take care, guys.